What if I told you that thousands of people living in California are unknowingly putting their U.S. citizenship at risk, without committing any serious crime? Every year, federal agencies quietly review old records, forms, and decisions. In many cases, the problem isn't what people did recently, but what they forgot, misreported, or never corrected years ago. One small mistake can resurface when you least expect it. Here's the uncomfortable truth. California itself cannot take away citizenship, but certain actions at the state level can trigger federal reviews, investigations, and legal trouble. From paperwork errors to benefit issues, tax problems, or even online activity, things that seem harmless can suddenly matter in 2026 more than ever before. And most people don't realize the rules have tightened. So ask yourself this: if someone reviewed your past forms, records, and decisions today, would everything still hold up? In this video, we reveal 10 brutal but real rules that could put citizenship at risk, and what you can do right now to protect yourself before it's too late. Number 1. False information on state forms can trigger federal review. One of the most underestimated risks begins with something that feels small: incorrect information on official California forms. This could be a driver's license application, a public benefit form, a housing document, or even a professional license renewal. Many people assume these are routine state matters. But here's what most don't realize: if false information is discovered, it can be shared across agencies and potentially reviewed at the federal level. For naturalized citizens, this becomes serious if the incorrect information contradicts what was declared during the citizenship process. For example, differences in residency history, employment records, or undisclosed past issues can raise questions. In rare cases, if authorities believe someone intentionally misrepresented facts during naturalization, it can trigger a legal process called denaturalization review. While uncommon, these cases do happen, and they often start with paperwork inconsistencies. The key issue isn't honest mistakes, it's whether something appears intentional. That's why accuracy matters more than ever in 2026, when digital databases cross-check information faster than before. The safest step you can take is simple: review every form carefully before submitting it. Keep copies of everything. Make sure your answers are consistent with past records. If you're unsure about a question, seek clarification instead of guessing. Small paperwork errors today can become big problems tomorrow. Have you ever found an old form with a mistake on it? Comment, "Checking now," below if this made you think. We spend hours researching these updates to protect you, so please subscribe. It's just one click, but it truly supports our work. Number 2. Certain California criminal convictions still matter federally. Many people believe that once a criminal case is handled under California law, it stays there. But in reality, some state-level convictions can still have federal consequences, even years later. This is especially important for naturalized citizens, because federal authorities can review past criminal history if new information or inconsistencies appear. Here's where the confusion begins. California may reduce charges, reclassify offenses, or offer diversion programs. While these outcomes can be helpful at the state level, federal law does not always recognize them the same way. A charge that seems minor or dismissed locally may still exist in federal records, especially if it involves fraud, violence, or moral misconduct. In rare but serious situations, if a conviction existed before naturalization and was not properly disclosed, or was misunderstood at the time, it can raise questions during a later review. Again, this does not mean citizenship is easily taken away. But it does mean past issues can resurface when agencies share data or conduct audits in 2026 and beyond. The practical takeaway is awareness, not fear. Know your own history clearly. Keep court documents, final dispositions, and proof of case outcomes. If you're unsure how a past case was recorded, it's better to understand it now than be surprised later. Clarity protects you. Did this make you think about your past records? Comment, "Need TO check," or "All clear" below. We put serious time into explaining these sensitive topics clearly. Please subscribe. It's one click, and it helps us keep protecting our community. Number 3. Benefit or welfare fraud can raise citizenship red flags. This is one of the most misunderstood risks, and it catches many people by surprise. Misuse or incorrect reporting of public benefits in California doesn't just stay a state issue. In certain situations, it can trigger federal attention, especially if fraud is alleged or patterns of misreporting appear over time. Here's the key issue: Many benefit programs rely on self-reported information: income, household size, employment status, or residency. Even small mistakes, like forgetting to report extra income or changes in your living situation, can later be interpreted as intentional if they repeat. When that happens, agencies may investigate, and records can be shared across departments. For naturalized citizens, this becomes sensitive if the benefit issue overlaps with information previously declared during immigration or naturalization. Authorities may ask whether the person was truthful, eligible, or compliant at all times. Again, citizenship is not easily revoked, but fraud allegations carry much heavier weight than simple errors. The practical solution is caution and documentation. Always report changes promptly, keep copies of notices and updates, and never guess on forms. If you're unsure whether something must be reported, ask first. Transparency is your strongest protection. Have you ever been confused about reporting benefits or income? Comment "confusing" or "clear now" below. We put real effort into explaining these hidden risks. Please subscribe. It's just one click, and it helps us continue this work. Number 4. Failing to update your address or status can look suspicious. This rule catches many people simply because it feels harmless. Not updating your address or personal status, like a name change, marital status, or long-term move, may seem minor, but in 2026 it can quietly create serious problems. California agencies rely heavily on accurate records, and when information doesn't match across systems, it can raise red flags. Here's why this matters. State and federal databases are now more connected than ever. If your address on tax records, DMV files, benefit programs, or past immigration paperwork doesn't match, it can look like inconsistency, or worse, avoidance. Most of the time, it's just oversight. But systems don't understand intent, they only see mismatches. For naturalized citizens, these inconsistencies can become an issue if a review is triggered for another reason. Officials may question whether information was intentionally left outdated to hide something. Again, this doesn't mean automatic trouble, but it creates unnecessary risk that could have been avoided with a simple update. The practical solution is discipline. Anytime you move, change your name, or update your status, make it a habit to notify all relevant agencies promptly. Keep confirmation letters, emails, or screenshots as proof. Consistency across records is protection, and in 2026, it matters more than ever. Be honest, are all your records updated right now? Comment "updated" or "need to fix" below. We put serious effort into uncovering these hidden risks, so please subscribe. It's just one click, and it truly supports this channel. Number 5. Social media activity can be used against you. Most people treat social media as casual and harmless, but in 2026, online activity can quietly become part of legal reviews. What you post, like, share, or joke about can be misunderstood when taken out of context. And once something is public, it can be saved, shared, and reviewed years later. Here's the problem many don't see coming. If your social media content contradicts information on official forms, such as work status, residence, travel history, or even past statements, it can raise questions. For example, posting about working while claiming unemployment, or showing long stays abroad while records say otherwise, can create inconsistencies. Even old posts can resurface. This doesn't mean authorities are watching everyone's accounts daily. But when a review or investigation is triggered for another reason, digital footprints are often checked. Sarcasm, exaggeration, or jokes can look very different on paper. And once something is questioned, explaining intent becomes difficult. The smart approach is awareness, not fear. Review your public profiles. Adjust privacy settings. Avoid posting anything that could be misunderstood or contradict official records. When in doubt, don't post. Silence is sometimes safer than explanation. Have you ever posted something without thinking twice? Comment "guilty" or "very careful" below. We put real effort into revealing risks people never talk about. Please subscribe. It's just one click, and it helps us keep doing this work. Number 6. Repeated tax mistakes can trigger deeper scrutiny. Taxes are one area where many people feel overwhelmed, and that's exactly why repeated tax errors can quietly become a serious problem. In California, mistakes on state tax filings don't always stay local. When errors happen again and again, or when information doesn't match other records, it can attract attention beyond the state level. Here's what often goes wrong. Some people forget to file certain years. Others underreport income, misunderstand self-employment rules, or rely on incorrect advice. One mistake is usually not a big issue, but patterns matter. When tax records conflict with benefit claims, employment history, or past immigration information, it can raise questions about honesty and compliance. For naturalized citizens, this becomes sensitive if tax issues overlap with information provided during the citizenship process. Authorities may ask whether income, employment, or dependents were accurately reported at all times. Again, this does not mean citizenship is easily lost, but unresolved or repeated tax problems create risk that most people don't anticipate. The practical solution is consistency and cleanup. File every year, even if income is low. Correct mistakes as soon as you discover them. Keep copies of returns, notices, and corrections. If you're unsure, seek professional help rather than guessing. Clean tax records are one of the strongest forms of protection you have. Be honest, are your taxes fully up to date? Comment, all filed, or need TO fix, below. We put serious effort into explaining these hidden risks clearly, so please subscribe. It's just one click, and it truly supports our work. Number 7. Traveling abroad during sensitive periods can create problems. Traveling outside the U.S. feels normal, especially for people visiting family or handling emergencies. But in 2026, timing matters more than most people realize. Traveling abroad during certain sensitive periods can quietly raise questions, especially if there are ongoing legal, tax, benefit, or administrative reviews connected to your records. Here's what many don't know. When you leave the country for extended or repeated periods, it can create data gaps. These gaps sometimes conflict with residency claims, benefit eligibility, or past declarations made on official forms. If records show you were supposed to be living or working in California during a time you were abroad, that inconsistency can trigger follow-up questions later. This becomes more serious if travel overlaps with unresolved issues, like pending tax corrections, benefit reviews, or record updates. In those cases, authorities may question whether the travel was meant to avoid notices, interviews, or compliance steps. Even when travel is legitimate, poor timing can look suspicious on paper. The practical advice is planning and documentation. Avoid international travel if you know there's an unresolved issue tied to your records. Keep travel dates documented, save boarding passes when relevant, and make sure your records accurately reflect your situation. Travel isn't the problem, unexplained timing is. Have you traveled abroad recently without thinking twice? Comment, just traveled, or very careful, below. We put real effort into breaking down risks people never talk about. Please subscribe. It's just one click, and it helps us keep protecting you. Number 8. Being linked to someone under investigation can pull you in. This is one of the most unfair, but very real, risks people don't talk about enough. You don't have to do anything wrong yourself to face scrutiny. Simply being closely connected to someone who is under investigation can sometimes draw attention to your records too. This can happen through family ties, shared addresses, shared finances, or even business relationships. Here's how it usually starts. If authorities investigate fraud, tax issues, benefit misuse, or criminal activity, they often look at associated individuals. That could include spouses, roommates, co-signers, business partners, or people listed on shared documents. In many cases, this is routine fact-checking, not an accusation. But once your name appears in the review, your own records may be examined more closely. For naturalized citizens, this can become stressful if your past paperwork, taxes, or benefits contain inconsistencies. Even unrelated issues can resurface simply because your file was opened as part of someone else's case. Again, this does not mean guilt, but it does mean exposure. The practical protection here is boundaries and documentation. Be careful whose documents you co-sign. Avoid informal financial arrangements that put your name on someone else's problems. Keep your own records clean, separate, and well organized. Distance doesn't mean disloyalty, it means protection. Have you ever been listed on someone else's paperwork? Comment yes or never again below. We put real effort into explaining risks no one warns you about. Please subscribe. It's just one click, and it helps us keep making these videos. Number 9. Old naturalization mistakes can be reopened years later. One of the most shocking realities in 2026 is this: citizenship is not always set and forgotten. In rare but serious situations, federal authorities can reopen past naturalization cases if they believe there was fraud, misrepresentation, or missing information at the time citizenship was granted, even if it happened many years ago. Here's what many people don't realize. During naturalization, applicants answer dozens of questions about travel history, criminal issues, taxes, benefits, and personal background. At the time, some people misunderstood questions, relied on bad advice, or assumed certain details were not important. Most of the time, nothing happens. But if a later review uncovers inconsistencies between past answers and current records, those old mistakes can suddenly matter. This doesn't mean citizenship is easily taken away. It isn't. These cases are rare and complex. But when they happen, they often start with paper trails, forms, interviews, and records that don't line up. And once a review begins, defending yourself becomes stressful, expensive, and emotionally draining. The practical lesson is protection through records. Keep copies of your naturalization application, interview notes, and supporting documents. If you ever discover an old error, don't ignore it, get informed. What you don't remember can still exist on paper. Do you still have copies of your citizenship paperwork? Comment "saved everything" or "no idea where it is" below. We put serious effort into uncovering risks people never hear about. Please subscribe. It's just one click, and it truly helps this channel grow. Number 10. 2026 brings stronger state, federal data sharing than ever before. What makes 2026 feel different isn't just stricter rules, it's stronger coordination between state and federal systems. Agencies today share data faster, compare records more efficiently, and flag inconsistencies automatically. That means information from the DMV, tax filings, benefit programs, court records, and licensing agencies can be cross-checked with federal databases more easily than in the past. Years ago, mismatched records might have stayed buried in separate systems. Today, digital tools connect those dots. If something doesn't line up, residency dates, employment claims, travel history, or income records, it can trigger automated alerts. Most of the time, these are routine checks. But when multiple inconsistencies appear, reviews can escalate. This doesn't mean people are being targeted unfairly. It means the margin for error is smaller. Inconsistent information that once went unnoticed may now surface during audits, background checks, or routine reviews. And once your file is flagged, resolving issues becomes more complicated. The key takeaway isn't fear, it's precision. Make sure your records across all agencies are consistent. Keep documentation organized. Update changes promptly. In 2026, accuracy is your shield, and consistency across systems is your best defense. After hearing all 10 rules, which one shocked you the most? Comment the number below. We put serious time and research into making these complex topics simple. Please subscribe. It's just one click, and it truly helps us continue this work. After hearing all 10 rules, one thing should be clear. Losing U.S. citizenship is rare, but putting yourself at risk is easier than most people think. In 2026, the danger doesn't usually come from one big mistake. It comes from small oversights, old paperwork, forgotten updates, repeated inconsistencies, or assumptions like, "this doesn't matter anymore." When systems were disconnected, those mistakes stayed buried. Today, they don't. The most important message of this video is not fear, it's awareness. California itself does not revoke citizenship, but actions taken at the state level can trigger federal reviews when records don't match or raise questions. Forms, taxes, benefits, travel, social media, and old naturalization paperwork all leave trails. When those trails don't line up, problems begin, not immediately, but quietly. The good news is that almost every risk we discussed is preventable. Reviewing your records, correcting mistakes, keeping copies, updating information, and being careful with forms and online behavior can dramatically reduce exposure. Preparation gives you control. Consistency gives you protection. And knowledge gives you peace of mind. This video wasn't created to scare you or make you anxious. It was created to empower you, to help you spot risks before they become problems, and to remind you that citizenship protection is an ongoing responsibility, not a one-time event. Most people affected by these issues say the same thing afterward: "I wish I had known earlier." Now you do. If this video helped you, support the channel by liking, subscribing, and sharing it with someone who needs this information. We put real time, research, and care into making complex rules simple, so you don't have to learn the hard way.